Welcome to the Bay Area and to this magnificent Ed Roberts campus. My name is Rocio de Mateo Smith. I work for Area Board 5 on Developmental Disabilities, a part of the State Council on Developmental Disabilities. You know, the Bay Area has a reputation for being an activist community. I would say a very well-deserved reputation. Most of the families that brought us the Lanterman Act were from the Bay Area. The Bay Area was the setting where people with disabilities fought to make Section 504 a reality, the very first federal law that required equal access for people with disabilities. We are the cradle of the independent living movement. The Center for Independent Living in Berkeley, housed right here in this campus, was the first one of what would become a worldwide movement. This campus, right here, is the first of its kind, a place designed for people with disabilities, which houses some of the most forward-thinking organizations. We have fantastic and very responsive legislators. They, like Senator Corbett and Senator Leno, they understand our issues and they fight for us in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And Senator Steinberg, today we adopt you as a Bay Area legislator. Because you represent us so well. Thank you. And not coincidentally, it is not a coincidence that most of the parents leading the fight to make insurance for autism services a reality come from the Bay Area. Yay, Bay Area. Like the founding fathers and mothers of the Lanterman Act, we are here to speak for justice. Like my hero, Ed Roberts, who was the first student with significant disabilities to be accepted into UC Berkeley, who established the independent living movement, who Governor Brown, the young Governor Brown, appointed as director of the Department of Rehabilitations, who fought indefatigably for equal access for people with disabilities. Like Ed Roberts, we are here to demand equal access in treatment for autism. So I want to ask you a question. What do we want? Access to treatment. When do we want it? Now. What do we want?
Access to treatment.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Access for treatment.
When do we want it?
Now.
We have a message for Governor Brown. The Governor Brown who appointed Ed Roberts to head the Department of Rehabilitation. The very same Governor Brown. Governor Brown, please sign SB946 for the children, por los niños. Sign SB946 por los niños. Sign SB946 por los niños. Sign SB 946 por los niños. For the children. For the children, por los niños. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Marty Omoto.
My name is Marty Omoto. I'm with the California Disability Community Action Network. It's based in Sacramento. I'm actually from Monterey originally, so that's sort of like the Bay Area, sort of. South Bay, really far away. I am a family member. My sister, Leno, had developmental disabilities. I carried this same picture around for the last 10 years to rallies and meetings like this across the state, and I wanted to bring it here to the Ed Roberts campus because, you know, she was a part of all that legacy. First, I want to thank Senator Steinberg for his leadership on authoring SB 946, and also the support of Senator Leno and the other members of the legislature for pushing this important piece of legislation. As I said in Sacramento, the most important thing, of course, is providing treatment to our children. But the second most important thing that this bill does, as I mentioned in Sacramento, is that it restores our faith in what government should do and can do. And we thank you there for that. And it's so appropriate that we are here today at the Ed Roberts campus here in Berkeley. I first met Ed Roberts back when he first became director of Department of Rehab in 1975, and had many discussions with him over the years about the rights of people with disabilities and the rights of inclusion and respect and dignity. Those are things and values that I had, but I was able to shape that into understanding that it was something that we should demand and expect, even in difficult times. And we are in difficult times, and it seems nothing has gone our way. But let us remember this. When oppression wins out, as it sometimes does, when justice seems to be always for someone else, as it sometimes feels, when it seems that we are alone in our own struggle, as it sometimes happens, remember where we are today at the Ed Roberts campus. Remember what he did. And remember this, with SB 946 and all the work that advocates have done in the previous years and decades, including Ed Roberts, we proclaim today, hope has arrived. Hope has arrived. As Robert Kennedy once said, a tiny ripple of hope, but if the governor signs SB 946, combined with other efforts that we have done as advocates across the states to protect our children, our families, and the workers, then that ripple can create a wave that Robert Kennedy once said can bring down the mightiest walls of oppression, injustice, and indifference. Hemingway, as I said in Sacramento, once wrote that many are broken by life, but some are made stronger in the broken places. I speak from personal experience about the heartache of loss, of overcoming barriers, and I know from personal experience we can each become stronger in the places that have broken. And so in closing, I say this to all of you. Too many, far too many people with disabilities, far too many families have been broken because we have faced too many barriers, too many obstacles, and too many struggles that never seem to end to get the help, the services, and supports we desperately need and needed to live a full and free life as anyone else. In their name, for those families and for all of us, tell the governor, please sign SB 946. Too many, far too many families who will have children not yet born with autism spectrum disorders or other disorders in the coming months and years, as you already know, face the awful prospects of an endless nightmare to get help for their children. In their name, for those families and children, tell the governor, please sign SB 946. Too many, far too many young children and adults with disabilities, including autism spectrum disorders, grow up without the critical treatments and supports that could have changed their lives. And too many, far too many young children grow up receiving those services far too late. In their name, for those children and families, tell the governor, please sign SB 946. And finally, too many, far too many of us feel a sense of desperation, a feeling of being left out and alone, who see and feel the heartache of a loved one suffering, and who have lost faith and hope in our state and even in ourselves. In their name, in speaking for justice, as those families did so many years ago at the state capitol, for all of them and for all of us, remember this: hope has arrived. Tell the governor, please sign SB 946. Thank you, and I want to introduce my good friend and a tremendous advocate, Feda Omaletti. I'm sorry if I pronounced that name wrong, Feda. With the Autism Health Advocates. Give her a welcome.
Thank you. This is my son, Mohammed. He's almost 7 years old and is severely affected by his autism. While this picture may look like just a happy kid at the beach, I can tell you it signifies much, much more for our family. This picture signifies our family's 2-year battle with our insurance company to get treatment for his autism. This picture signifies denials, appeals, and delays every corner. This picture signifies what early intervention can do. It signifies hope and a bright future for my son. Before treatment, my family was falling apart. I can't even begin to tell you how stressful it is, knowing that there is treatment out there for your child and it's just out of your grasp. Before treatment, a typical family outing at the beach was impossible for our family. We couldn't take Mohammed there or anywhere and keep him safe. Before treatment, Mohammed would bang his head against the wall. He would bolt into traffic. We couldn't get him in the car. And then we couldn't get him out of the car. Everything was hard for us, everything. Even going to sleep, everything was a struggle. Today, I'm happy to report that since receiving treatment, Mohammed is doing much, much better. We can go anywhere. We go to the beach. He can speak now. Mohammed can call me mama. He can now communicate his basic needs on a communication device. He asked me for Cheetos yesterday. He asked me every 2 minutes, but the fact is that he asked me. Life today is all about the possible, but it wasn't always that way. I don't want another family to go through what we went through. You know it's hard enough raising a child with autism. We shouldn't have to struggle this hard just to get coverage that we pay for every month. Senator Steinberg has heard our pleas. He's listened to our stories and understands our struggles. And we're here today to make sure that Governor Brown understands them too and pass SB 946. Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce a dear friend, Dr. Karen Fessel. She is founder and executive director of the Autism Health Insurance Project and a parent of a 16-year-old son with Asperger's. Please give her a nice round of applause.
Thank you, Feda. I'm here to tell you that early intervention works. This bill, SB 946, will help thousands of families get services that their children desperately need. Thank you, Senator Steinberg, for leading California out of the dark ages into a land where we have laws in place to help each child realize their potential. This is a photo of my son, Aaron. He has Asperger's. We started early intervention even before we knew that he was on the autistic spectrum. Like Feda and others here today, thank you. I fought my health plan. I appealed. I took it to the regulator. I didn't take no for an answer. But each victory was a victory of one. SB 946 is going to be a victory for us all. Today, my son is 16. He's learning to drive. It's a little scary, but many of my friends with typically developing teens tell me that as well. Last summer, he went on a teen tour to Israel with typical kids for a whole month. He volunteers as a teaching assistant in a local preschool. He was a counselor at a summer camp. He has friends, even a best friend. We're starting to look at colleges. Is he still on the autism spectrum? Quite definitely, yes. He is his own unique person. Early intervention may or may not cure our children, and I put cure in quotes. What it will do is maximize their potential. It will allow them to be the best that they can be, and it will increase the chances that our kids can hold jobs, become productive citizens, and live full and independent lives. Money spent on these special children today will save us all money tomorrow. Governor Brown, please sign SB 946 into law. I'd like to introduce another parent of a very special teen. I'd like to introduce Dr. Albert Wang, internist, father to our amazing saxophonist, Lawrence, and co-founder of Friends of Children with Special Needs. Thank you, Albert.
Thank you, Dr. Fessel. I came from a different era, the dark ages of the dark ages. 18 years ago, my son was diagnosed with full-spectrum autism. And I remember we were told by the psychologist team who diagnosed him at Stanford to go home, take good care of him. And very little we can do about it. At the time, behavior analysis was just beginning to gain some attention. No one knew what it was going to do, but we decided through our support group, friends' recommendation, to go ahead and give it a try. Of course, back then there was no insurance coverage. No one has heard of this treatment. And my wife went back to school to study psychology, and we ran our program. Before we had treatment, Lawrence was 3.5. He didn't speak. He was easily agitated. He was withdrawn. He plays by himself and spin wheels on carts backwards. After treatment today, you saw him play saxophone if you were here earlier and lucky enough to hear him. You're welcome to stay a bit. He will play at the end again. And that's only about 1.5 years of saxophone lessons. He is about to graduate from school. He holds a part-time job in the insurance office and the CPA office. He can talk, he can communicate. For sure, again, he's not cured. He still has his moments. He doesn't communicate with people well, but he's out of his world, he's into our world. And that's what we want for our children, and that's what ABA will do for them. And we want access. We don't want any more struggles by parents, like we've seen so many gone through over the 18 years I've been involved with activism. And so many parents have struggled, so many families have fallen apart. Today we have Senator Steinberg, our godsend legislative leader, to help us pass this bill that seemed impossible not very long ago. Maybe even just a month ago it seemed impossible. And thanks to Senator Steinberg and our good friend Dr. Lou Vismara. He's so low-key and humble, he doesn't want to show his face, but really want to thank him. And today we're asking Governor Brown, not asking actually, we are telling Governor Brown, and maybe not even telling, we demand Governor Brown to sign SB 946 right now. Thank you. I'm going to speak a moment in Chinese to our Chinese media friends who are here. 其实我们等一会儿再谈好了，因为现在时间紧凑哈，所以如果等一会儿有问题，可以来跟我谈，或者跟我们任何华人特殊儿童之友的朋友谈。Senator Steinberg will be available for interview for the Chinese media as well. Now I have the pleasure to introduce another parent. That's right. Cecilia Cecilia has a child who is 8 years old on the autism spectrum, and she's active in the Latino community and member of the Congreso Familiar. I think I pronounced that right. Cecilia?
I'm going to speak in Spanish, okay? Thank you, Senator. Esta mañana quiero agradecer al senador Darrell Steinberg la oportunidad de representar a los padres de niños con autismo de la comunidad latina en este evento. Muchas gracias, senador. ¿Qué te pasó? ¿Qué te pasó? ¿Quién te rasguñó? ¿Cómo te hiciste este rasguño? Silencio. Silencio es lo que yo obtengo como respuesta de mi hijo Sergio, quien tiene 8 años y tiene autismo. Sergio no puede hablar. No sé lo que piensa, no sé qué le duele. Peor aún, no sé si alguien le hace daño. No tiene sentido del peligro. Se puede decir que es un niño feliz y sociable. Trata de acercarse a otros niños para jugar con ellos, pero no tiene amigos. No sabe cómo seguir una conversación después de "Hi". Gracias a las terapias de comportamiento que ha recibido a través del Regional Center, del centro regional, y a la intervención temprana, ahora puede sentarse. Antes no tenía la oportunidad de sentarse un minuto a ver la televisión o una película. Se pegaba contra las paredes. Ahora puede decir algunas palabras, pero eso no es suficiente para mí. Yo quiero que me diga que se pueda comunicar y que me diga sus sueños, sus aventuras, sus metas, sus travesuras, qué es lo que quiere hacer en su vida. Quiero que Sergio hable como un niño típico. Es importante mencionar que el 33% de las personas que reciben servicios de los centros regionales en California son latinos, ya que el autismo afecta a nuestras familias en forma significativa. Los centros regionales, junto con los distritos escolares, no cuentan con todo el presupuesto para enfrentar los altos costos del autismo. Gracias a la propuesta SB946, las aseguradoras podrán compartir los gastos y tratamientos que son necesarios para combatir esta condición. Por eso, unimos nuestra voz en este esfuerzo y hacemos un llamado al gobernador Jerry Brown a que firme la propuesta SB946. Les hago un llamado a todos para que firmen las peticiones. Las necesitamos. Necesitamos cada una de sus firmas. Si al final de este evento alguien tiene alguna pregunta, trataré de responder con mucho gusto. Muchas gracias y les agradezco haber estado aquí, apoyar esto. Thank you so much.
Now it's my pleasure to introduce my good friend, Kristen Jacobson. Kristen is one of the forces behind this bill. Is a founding member of the Alliance of California Autism Organizations, which is the sponsor of this bill, a statewide advocacy chair for Autism Speaks, and president of Autism Deserve Equal Coverage. Here's Kristen.
Hi there, everybody. Thanks for coming. I want to talk a little bit about how autism has affected the Bay Area, because today we're here in the Bay Area. According to a recent study from the Mind Institute, We know that there are 3 clusters of autism spectrum disorders in the Bay Area with more than twice the incidence of autism than the surrounding communities. And while we don't know why or what the specific implications are of these clusters, we do know that our community has to take care of this population and make sure that they have access to treatment.
Yes.
The numbers are truly staggering. The school-aged population with autism in the Bay Area has more than quadrupled over the last decade, despite flat school enrollment. More than 1 in 100 students enrolled in Bay Area schools have an autism spectrum disorder, compared to less than 3 in 1,000 a decade ago. And of the Bay Area population with autism that is treated by our regional centers, 77% are under the age of 22. There is a tsunami coming as these individuals age, and our community will be unable to cope if we do not get treatment to the younger and older generation immediately. Behavioral health treatment is the undeniable standard of care for autism. It is why we pay for health insurance. It's equivalent of giving chemotherapy to a cancer patient or insulin to a diabetic. We know the most effective treatment for autism. How can we do anything other than ensure that every child receives it to treat their medical condition of autism? We have been working on this issue for the last 6 years, and thanks to Senator Steinberg's great leadership, we are on the doorstep of making autism insurance reform a reality in California. Woo-hoo! A little more than a month ago, I was sitting in your office, and I said to you that if you could pass this SB946 this year, you would be a hero for our community. Senator Steinberg, you made that happen, and you are the hero of our community. Governor Brown, I am asking you, would you like to be a hero too?
Yeah!
On behalf of the autism community, I urge Governor Brown to sign SB 946 and end autism insurance discrimination today. This has been a collaborative effort. The regional centers have been an incredible partner. I see Santi Rogers and Jim Burton, regional center directors of 2 of our local regional centers. Rachel Norton is in the audience. She's an elected school board member of San Francisco, and the school board and SELPAs have been very supportive of our effort. It is my honor to introduce Senator Elaine Corbett. Ellen, oh my goodness, I am so sorry. I'm going to do that again. It is my honor to introduce Senate Majority Leader Ellen Corbett. She represents the 10th District that includes Alameda and Santa Clara counties. Her distinguished career in public service has been marked by an exceptional commitment to leadership on disability rights issues. She has led a major effort to improve compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. Senator Corbett provides crucial leadership as a member of the California Commission on Disability Access. She has received the ADA Commendation from Community Resources for Independent Living and recently was named Legislative Champion of Accessibility for Disability Rights California. Please provide an enthusiastic welcome to our champion, Senator Ellen Corbett.
Thank you. Thank you for that kind word, but we know who the heroes are here today. All of you, you are our heroes. You are inspiration. Thank you. And I know it's hard. All of us have busy lives, and for you to be here today, in the midst of your busy, busy lives, it means so much to all of us who work in Sacramento as well. You are the wind beneath our wings when we work on these tough issues. I want to thank Senator Steinberg. He is our fabulous pro tem, but he is a steadfast advocate for all persons with disabilities. And may I just say, we must thank him for his relentless work. Can I say that again? Relentless work to get Senate Bill 946 passed this year and all the way to the governor's desk. You all know that early treatment and intervention can mean everything to a child with disabilities, especially a child with autism. For so many children, early and consistent treatment and therapies make the difference. It can ensure successful participation in a regular classroom in your neighborhood school instead of a segregated, expensive classroom in some school further away. It can mean that families will raise their children to be fully functioning and contributing adults instead of adults who will require public support all their lives. Early and consistent treatment and therapy makes sense for children with autism or a pervasive developmental disorder. It makes sense for families, and it also makes sense for our state. But that is not what the governor is being told. The health plans are doing everything that they can to defeat Senate Bill 946 and stop it from being signed. And the health plans, and boo, hiss. Yes. The health plans are trying to discourage the governor from signing this landmark legislation into law. Health plans say that SB 946 was a hastily written bill that has not received a complete public debate or financial analysis. I'm here to tell you that that's not true. Do you think that's true? No! And health plans say that this bill will increase California health care costs by nearly $850 million a year. Do you think that's true? No! Health plans say that behavioral therapy is education and not medical. Do you think that's true? No! You know better than that. Health plans say that the regional centers and school districts should pay for behavioral therapy. Is that true? No! Okay, sometimes. Okay. All right. All right. Health plans say that families should pay the full cost of behavioral therapy, even if they have health insurance for their family members. Is that right? No! But that is what the health plans are telling the governor. But we're here to tell you that that's not true. What they're telling you, we're here to tell you that the governor, what they're not telling the governor, we're here to tell you what they're not telling the governor is that health plans, I'm sorry, I have to start again. This is what health plans should be telling the governor, and they're not telling the governor. Health plans are not saying that behavioral therapy can save up to $1 million per child in long-term benefits. Health plans are also not telling the governor that SB 946 will save Californians over $140 million each year. The health plans aren't telling the governor that these things are true, but we will. Please, all of you who are here today, I know you are committed to this cause, but please sign the petition. Sign it today, let your friends know about it, and let Governor Brown know that Senate Bill 946 is important to the future of our children, to the future of our community, and to the future of our state. Now I'd like to bring up another amazing advocate and my colleague, Senator Mark Leno. Senator Leno fights hard for persons with disabilities. You all know that. You've all seen him work. As chair of the Senate Budget Committee that oversees health funding in California, and now is the chair of the Senate Budget and Fiscal Review Committee, he has been a stalwart advocate for persons with disabilities. Even in these tough financial times, Senator Leno has worked hard to turn back many of the horrific cuts proposed in services and supports for persons with disabilities. He has been a great champion. And as chair of the Senate Budget Committee, Senator Leno knows how important it is to make sure health insurance plans are paying their fair share of the costs. Please join me in welcoming Senator Leno to the podium.
Thank you, Majority Leader Ellen Corbett. It's great to be here with you and with Supervisor Pine from San Mateo County, and of course with our unbelievable, irreplaceable Senate President Pro Tem Darrell Steinberg. All the parent leaders who are here today, the community leaders, all of you, if there is strength in numbers, look around. We are strong. And I stand with you today as a strong supporter and advocate for the independent living movement. I've been fortunate enough over the past couple of years to be among the chairs of the task forces that were directed by Senator Steinberg as chair of the Select Committee on Autism, and each of our task forces looked at the important issues of access to education and job training, access to housing, and of course access to health insurance. And it is from the work of that Select Committee that this bill has come forward. You know, we have a rather crazy, if not ill-conceived and ill-fated healthcare system in this country. The World Health Organization ranks us 37th among nations in healthcare outcomes. You know, you pay, if you're fortunate enough, your monthly premiums to your health insurer for yourself and for your spouse, for your family, your children. And if your child has a medical necessity on a Saturday afternoon at home, you appropriately would be able to access your health care coverage. But if your child has that identical health necessity, medical necessity, on Monday afternoon at the same hour of the day, the health insurer says, that's not our responsibility, that's the school's responsibility, and they take none whatsoever. But this is what you get when we put in charge of our healthcare system a for-profit middleman. A for-profit middleman that provides no health care, does no health care research, doesn't provide a single hospital bed, and makes its billions and billions and billions of dollars each year by denying us health care. That's their business model. They make their profits when they deny us health care that we're paying for. So that's where SB 946 comes in. 27 other states are doing this as we speak, and they have found that it has increased monthly premium costs by about a quarter, 25 cents, a quarter of a dollar. And our own California Health Benefits Review Program has researched this, and this is a nonpartisan, independent academic group, and they have determined that this might increase healthcare premiums somewhere around 0.15%. This at a time when health insurers are raising premiums by 10, 20, 30, 40% every year for their own profits. 0.15%. This is completely manageable. And as Senator Corbett mentioned, this will save consumers about $140 million annually. But it will also benefit our state general fund by tens of millions of dollars, because it is the state general fund that pays for the regional center's costs and for school costs, because the health insurers won't pay for it. But we, the people, through our legislative process, have the ability in our hands to change that and make it required that health insurers pay their fair share. And that's why the governor should sign SB 946. We all know that a little honey goes farther than a little vinegar, right? So at the same time that we're urging the governor with all our might and all of our soul to sign SB 946, I also want to thank him for signing our SB 48, which will require that the role and contributions of the disability community be included in our grade school curriculum. Thank you, Governor, for signing that bill. So I have the good fortune to have the request to introduce the main event. I have said it before, and it's a pleasure and honor to be able to have an opportunity to say it again, that one of the greatest joys I experience as a state senator, I recognize it is a diagnosable condition, but I love my job, but it's a wonderful job because I get to work under the leadership of President Pro Tem Darrell Steinberg. This is an individual who is led by one guiding passion, and in the Hebrew tradition, it's known as tikkun olam, which is the repair of the world. Everything he does is motivated by making life better for working men and women of California, for the families of California, for the children and for the seniors of California. This is his passion. This is his commitment. It is his sole agenda. This is a rare leader. It is one of Darrell Steinberg is one of California's best leaders, and we are so fortunate that he decided to take on this issue and to make it reality. Thank you, Darrell Steinberg. Welcome to Oakland.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. A standing ovation. I'm honored and humbled to be here and to receive your warm welcome. To Mark Leno, thank you for that very, very kind introduction. But more important, for taking on the Herculean task of chairing the Budget Committee in these difficult times and not only maintaining but strengthening your commitment to real people, even in those most difficult times. And I say the same for my colleague Ellen Corbett, the Majority Leader, who helps me in so many different ways, sung and unsung, in ensuring that bills like this and so many other things get through the process. And there are so many stories about 946 and what brings us to this day, but I'm going to save them for my book when I am done with my term. You know, if you allow me for just a moment to digress with a personal reflection, because I never had the opportunity to meet Ed Roberts, but I certainly know of him. But I can tell you just a little bit about my motivation to get into public life in the first place. And it started here at UC Berkeley, because 34 years ago this month, I started as a freshman at UC Berkeley and lived in the dorms up in Unit 1 and then my second year in Unit 2. And in those dormitories were housed students from the Center for Independent Living, students with severe physical disabilities who were enrolled in the same curriculum that I was enrolled in, who had difficulty turning the page of a textbook while those of us able-bodied were struggling with the transition to college. And I will never forget the people that I met when I was 17 years old. And it led me to believe in ways that I will always believe that the flip side of disability is ability. Because what I saw were people who, despite their severe challenges, were normal people, were people who just wanted to get an education and who were upset when their favorite team lost on a Sunday, when we got back together on a Monday, and who had the same worries and joys as anybody else. And that experience 34 years ago propelled me to get involved in disability activism at UC Davis, where we built a lift in the moot courtroom for physically challenged, physically disabled students, and led to work on mental health and Prop 63, and now it's here, and it's a continuum. And it all starts with an inspiration, and that was my inspiration here at UC Berkeley, because of Ed Roberts and the Center for Independent Living over 3 decades ago. And I love, like anybody loves, the thanks and the warmth and the appreciation, but the truth is, right back at you. Because Senator Leno, Senator Corbett, and I, we're the vessels. We get hired by the people to do our very best by the people. But we can't succeed unless there is a groundswell of people who care. Because I must tell you, but for you, but for the parent advocates, the regional centers, the communities, the Dr. Vizmaras, the advocates here and throughout the state of California, very few people would care about this issue. It would just be another issue. Well, we'll get to it whenever we can get to it. That wouldn't be our attitude, of course, but that's the way the system works. When Senator Corbett says, you're the wind beneath our wings, you are, and you're much more than that. You are the reason we are on the verge of getting SB 946 signed into law. And it's one thing to say the words, it's another thing to actually live it. Because so many of you, I hear Fada, I hear Kristen, I hear Dave Pine, our San Mateo County supervisor, talk about his 10-year-old son, Kevin, and their struggles and what behavioral therapy has meant. You not only speak the words, but you've been on the front line of the battle for a long time, and you have the scars to prove it. How many countless sleepless nights? How many thousands of dollars of out-of-pocket expenses? For me, you bring the old phrase, whatever it takes, to a brand new meaning and an even higher level, whatever it takes to help your children. And it amazes me when people who are already burdened with great challenges in life decide that they have even more energy. They somehow find it somewhere, somehow, to become advocates for other people's children. That is incredible strength. And your relentless advocacy is about to pay off here in California. The California legislature has heard you, and in the next week and a half, Governor Brown will have heard you. Senator Corbett and others did a very good job relating the arguments. And there's one argument of the insurance industry that really stands out for me. And here's an opportunity to dispel the myth that has so stigmatized issues of mental illness and autism and other issues of the mind. They say that behavioral therapy, that's not medical. That's behavioral. That has to do with something up here, not in the body. The mind and the body go together. Biochemistry is every bit as real as the way the blood flows through your veins and your arteries. Issues and diseases of the mind are every bit medical as issues of the heart or the leg or the arm. It's time we say loud and clear that behavioral therapy affects brain waves in the most significant and important way. It's medical and must be covered. Marty Emoto's words and his passion touch me because he's right. Too often in this period of our history, in California and in the United States, it does feel that too often government spends more time and more effort either refereeing or involving ourselves in disputes relating to people who pretty much have it pretty good. And that the work sometimes, because of the political polarization, is too often about things other than what really matter to real people in our communities. I take pride in the fact that our legislature and our governor this year, and for some years, have fought our way through these tough times, and the tough times aren't over, but we have not forgotten, nor will we ever forget, why we were hired as public officials in the first place. And that is to tackle the issues that affect real people, popular or not, doesn't matter. Well-heeled interests or not. This is the work that we were hired to do. My child's life matters. Your child's life matters, and so does the life of every child in this state. And once in a while, and more often than not, when you have a group of advocates who are relentless, who are intelligent, who are determined, great things can happen. A great thing has happened with the passage of SB 946, and a great thing will happen before October 9th when the governor signs the bill. Governor Brown is thoughtful. He is smart, and he stands for families. I am relatively confident he is going to join us and make history in signing our bill. Now, I use that word, that adjective, relatively, because Senator Leno, Senator Corbett, and I learned a long time ago in politics, never take anything for granted. It is important that Governor Brown hear your voice. Today, the Los Angeles Times did a lead editorial urging the governor to support SB 946. The media is here today. You're here. Take nothing for granted. Let him hear your voice. Some have said, well, you know, this is a bill with a 2-year sunset. And no, by the way, it did not include Medi-Cal patients, and that was all true, and it was all because you have to get started, and we couldn't deal with the larger and even larger population with these difficult fiscal times. And the opponents have said, well, geez, this will just open the door to eventually covering everybody. Oh my God, he'll try to extend this beyond 2 years. Guilty as charged. You're darn right. Let's open the door and make sure that it is never shut. This measure is the foundation that will literally benefit thousands of kids for generations to come. There are some young people in the audience who I had the chance to meet earlier, and some that I did not get a chance to meet. And I want to say this to you. Never forget that your elected officials, your senators, your assembly members, your supervisors, and you may be in those positions yourself one day, never forget, including governors and presidents, that you don't work for us, we work for you. Let's follow through and make sure we have a great celebration before the 9th, and let's help our kids. Thank you very much.